Hey everyone, Wildcat here. As you most likely know, the Dynasty Warriors Origins DLC, Visions of Four Heroes, just released, and I want to share my thoughts about it so you can decide if it's worth the $35 price tag. First of all, a huge thank you to Koei Tecmo for allowing me access to the DLC just a few days early so I could get this video out ASAP. And before I get into my review, there will be some spoilers in this video, so if you want to completely avoid those, you can jump to this timestamp to get my final, completely spoiler-free thoughts on the game. So let's start out with the most important aspect of the DLC. What content are you actually getting here? Well, the DLC has 4 different stories, of course, that are all roughly around the same length of 2 to 3 hours. I think I ended up right around 10 hours to complete all 4 stories. However, there is a little asterisk with those 10 hours. You see, each DLC story consists of 3 actual battles that you would expect from the base game. That's 12 new battles in total. The problem with these battles is that I believe all of them reuse battlefields from the base game. It's not really the worst thing in the world, but a little lackluster to me personally for the actual price of the DLC. Aside from these actual battles, the DLC also has quote-unquote turn-based strategic battles. Well, first of all, these battles are barely turn-based like Koei Tecmo announced. What these strategic battles are, frankly, is just filler to pad out your playtime. All the strategic battles consist of are the generic little skirmishes from the base game. You do get 2 strategies that can be used in the overworld to weaken enemies, and then some strategies to use in the actual battles themselves. Now, I don't exactly hate the strategic battles, but I feel they are very undercooked and pretty much serve no purpose in the DLC. I do think they are a mechanic that could work really well in an Empires title, but it would need to be fleshed out a whole lot more. By the time I got to Lu Bu's campaign, and I had to do 2 strategic battles back to back, I was so bored of them. There were already a billion skirmishes in the base game. I don't know why they made them now mandatory to play in the DLC. Aside from the stories, the DLC also introduces some new training grounds missions, but those are kind of boring to me. I'd rather be out on a battlefield. The DLC also introduced 2 new weapons, the bow and the rope dart. The bow is a decent weapon. It is cool to have a true ranged weapon, but it isn't anything too special. The rope dart is quite good, but you get it so late in the DLC for no reason. The bow you get almost immediately, while the rope dart you don't get until your 3rd story. Finally, Ziluan does get a few new outfits in the game that were sorely needed in the base game. Finally, you can actually be color-coded like everyone else. This specific armor that you get after Dong Zhuo's campaign is really nice, probably my favorite out of them all. And that's pretty much it for new content in the DLC. I'm not going to give my final judgment yet, but I was expecting a little bit more. I will say that. Now let's talk about the actual writing in the DLC stories, because it's a mixed bag. Major spoilers ahead of course, so skip here to the end if you don't want to hear any of this. First, Zhang Jiao and the Yellow Turbans. It's just an okay story all around. Basically, the Yellow Turbans started to turn evil, but since Zhang Jiao survived in this story, he rounds them all up again and turns them into good guys with Ziluan's help. In the end, you basically help rid the Han Dynasty of corruption. Zhang Jiao goes off to be a doctor with Ziluan as his bodyguard, I guess? Next is Dong Zhuo's story. This one was pretty standard up until the end. It starts out as your typical what if Dong Zhuo won Hulao Gate, but then it takes a complete turn by the end. For the final battle, Dong Zhuo is attacked by Cao Cao and still gets betrayed by Lu Bu and Diao Chan, leading to a double boss fight in the end. This fight against Diao Chan and Lu Bu made me remember why I kind of hate how Dynasty Warriors has become just another action game. I am playing Dynasty Warriors for grand battles, not annoyingly difficult boss fights. While this boss fight felt worse to play than the Lubu boss fight in the base game, I did beat it quicker, so it must be somehow a little easier. Anyway, horrible boss fight aside, the DLC ends with Dongzhuo just dying anyway. I guess you technically have the option to kill him or spare him. I chose the option to kill him since he's a homicidal maniac, so I don't know what happens if you choose to spare him. Anyways, I just thought it was weird to have a what if story that ends the exact same way as Dongzhuo's actual death. After that is Yuan Shao, which is somehow the best and worst story of the DLC, in my opinion. Let's start with what I really like. Yuan Shao himself. That's it. He basically learns from all of his mistakes in the DLC and becomes a smart, decisive leader that's able to properly manage all of the talent that he has at his disposal. It also dives into his upbringing, relationship with Cao Cao, and the pressure he feels leading his prestigious family. Now, aside from that, Yuan Shao's story is a head-scratcher. This is the story where we meet the new character, first known to us as Fei Wei. He is apparently a hunter turned assassin who was hired to kill Yuan Shao. When you defeat him, he joins Yuan Shao's army and becomes your friend. Long story short, when you defeat Cao Cao and complete Yuan Shao's story, Fei Wei reveals himself to be Huang Zhang. This is baffling for so many reasons. 1. Huang Zhang has nothing to do with Yuan Shao, so why is he even here? 2. This Huang Zhang is so incredibly pathetic to the one we have in previous Dynasty Warriors games. There has never been a bigger downgrade in a character in this entire series. 3. Instead of giving so much screen time to Huang Zhang, there's a member of Yuan Shao's faction that they could have used that doesn't even appear in the DLC at all, and that's Zhen Zhai. She is just completely absent from the DLC, while Yuan Shao's story has plenty of time to include Guo Jia and Zhao Yun, and worst of all, Huang Zhang. That point leads nicely into the final DLC story, Lu Bu. Lu Bu's story kicks off with Diao Chen asking Ziluan to help save Lu Bu from the remnants of Dongzhuo's army. After you save Lu Bu, Diao Chen just leaves, never to be seen again. I'm not sure why the writers of Origins hate Lu Bu and Diao Chen being together, but I thought she was very much missed in this DLC story. Anyways, Lu Bu's story is straightforward. Lu Bu wants to fight and Chen Gong wants all the glory through his strategies. Honestly, it felt more like Chen Gong's story than Lu Bu's story, but I guess that isn't the worst thing ever. Oh yeah, I almost forgot to mention Zhu He. That's because she's just about as boring as Ziluan and adds nothing to any of the DLC stories outside of 1 or 2 conversations with Ziluan. And that's pretty much the entire DLC. So, do I think the DLC is worth $35, half the price of the original game? Unfortunately, no, I do not. This is not a major DLC like Koei Tecmo claimed. For starters, all of the DLC just feels like recycled content. There's really just a lack of new stuff here. The story battles aren't new, and the strategic battles are just the same skirmishes from the base game over and over again. Now look, it isn't all bad. The new weapons and outfits are really good, but Koei Tecmo tried to pull a fast one on us by charging half the price of Origins for this DLC. I'd say this DLC is worth a solid $20 maybe. I'd be happy to pick it up during a sale. That being said, if you love Origins, you'll enjoy the DLC. It's still the same gameplay, and I know that's what most people care about at the end of the day. I just wanted a little more actual brand new content to justify the high price. Well, that all being said, thanks for checking out my review. Also, keep an eye out on my channel since we will very soon be getting some Dynasty Warriors 3 Remastered news from Koei at the end of the month, and you know I'll be sharing my thoughts here. If you enjoy my content, make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video.